What is going on out there, peeps? All right, man, there's a lot of things happening yesterday. A lot of it is great news. I was really excited to see it. And then I'm going to share with you why. It's stuff that I talked about last year about this time. Anyways, let's get into this. Before we do, I got to remind you guys, we got our friends over there at Money Metals Exchange. If you're going to buy some precious metals, buy on the dip, and we are in that dip right now. So you know that old saying, when I dip, you dip, we dip. Okay, so buy some precious metals. All right, the link is in the description. If you go there and you buy more than $100 worth of precious metals, use promo code Pimpy, Pimpy, and get a free half ounce of silver. Pimpy's Investment Chat. It's a Facebook group with the same name as the YouTube channel. In here, we do talk about, gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, other investment opportunities. Come join us. Make sure everybody respects one another. You don't have to like what other people are investing in, but it's not your business. All right? So be respectful and no politics over here. Bring the politics over to this group here, which is the hidden things in front of your eyes. You can talk about politics here. I don't mind that. Here we talk about NESARA, GESARA, politics, current events, you name it. Come over here, talk it here. We have Pimpy's YouTube or Twitter account. So I have a Twitter account, you guys. So Twitter. Okay, so I have a Twitter account. Okay. Sorry about that. Anyways, so my Twitter account, as you guys should be aware of now, is up and running. The link to it is in the description. And for those of you who keep asking me about cryptocurrencies, where to go buy it, that is in the description as well. Come on over and join. When I said there was a lot of news yesterday, I wasn't lying about it. So let's get all the small stuff out of the way. The banks are saying to the seniors, they're going to use palm cards for them to get their paychecks, their retirement checks, which is all good, fine, and dandy. Okay, right here we're talking about Al-Qadimi is lowering the hammer, man. He is. He's talking about when he came into office. Of course, his nation was, there are a lot of armed groups, gangs, groups, factions, tribes over there in Iraq. You know what I mean? There's a lot of them. And so he's saying, we can't have it this way. People don't feel safe. We need Iraq to feel safe. Not only that, it's a huge threat to the security of the people of Iraq. So he's wanting these guns removed. He's been doing what he can to stabilize the country. He's telling the security forces to start removing the weapons out of the hands of all these different gangs, groups, and stuff like that. If you want outside investors to come in, the one thing you want to show is that you do have control of your country and its security. And trust me when I tell you this, there's a reason why he has been lowering the hammer, and we're going to go over that here in shortly. But before I do, I'm just letting you know that he's was saying that, obviously, it says in the great efforts made by the security services of all kinds, warding off the threats of terrorism and providing stability in the country, which is good. It's betting on the heroic security forces and providing security in a way that enhances the citizens' confidence in the state and makes them feel reassured. All right, so his intelligent people are the ones doing the crackdown. So this is good. This is what you want to see. He's trying to restore the prestige of the state. And in my opinion, is doing a phenomenal job. So we're going to get into this last. So they got a holiday coming up. They just talk about it. They have holidays. Man, they have a lot of holidays. Americans work their ass off, man. We don't even have that many holidays. Somebody said that over in France, they only work 30 hours or 35 hours a week, and they got like 90 days of vacation. I think we need to move. Okay, anyways. Parliament set next Saturday as a day for its first session in the new legislation. Good. This is a good thing, too. Remember I was telling you whenever we're looking at Iraq, for me, I look at short-term, long-term investments. This right here shows you that what Al-Qadimi said. Remember when he said this? I am within the next 90 days going to remove and replace over 1,000 senior positions. Basically, he's just warding out the corruption is what he's doing. One of those locations were the ports, where he went over there and removed senior people out of there and replaced them. So things are starting to look really good. The reason why this is good, and I'm pointing this out to you besides it's the news, is this. This is another source of income besides oil for Iraq. This is what we're looking for. The more different areas in which they could generate a type of income for the government is great. This helps to build the economy. The stronger the economy, the stronger their currency. See what I'm saying? Especially when against the US dollar, as the US dollar gets weaker, their currency becomes more valuable so that when we go to make our exchange, we could get our monies. So here's what happened yesterday in one day in the ports. So the general authorities for customs announced on Wednesday that its revenues exceeded 2 billion dinars. That's just in one day. Keep in mind, this world is not fully open from the Rona. Okay, people are still making excuses, trying to keep us on lockdown, trying to push us into that new world order, great reset. I don't think so. The total revenues achieved yesterday in customs center amounted to 2 billion. And that's despite zero customs duties on many goods and lacks of imports due to closure of some border centers due to the Rona. Now remember also the Peshmerga soldiers and with the Iraqi soldiers are now carefully guarding the borders and pushing people to border centers, which is really good because that's great for the income. It really reduces the amount of illegal activity when it comes to the black market. So this, again, is good. This is good news. This is what we're looking for them to get in there and do what they need to do. In collecting fees, the more fees away from oil, the better it is for Iraq. We know they've been trying to do this for some time. Okay, so the Kurds reject the law on multiple election districts. And a close meeting between Baghdad and Erbil to discuss outstanding issues. We already all know what the outstanding issues are, but what they're talking about here as far as the multi-regions for elections. So it says right here, there was a meeting with the president of Barzani and, of course, the Prime Minister Al-Kadhimi will have positive repercussions while he indicated that the Kurds reject the multiplicity of constituencies in the law. So they're saying because they have not done a proper census to know who's where. And to me, this is from the Democratic Party. It is. It literally says a member of the Kurdistan Democratic Party. So the Democrats are giving them hell over there like they're doing us here in the United States. So basically, they don't want a free, fair election. They're looking for excuses to find a way to rig the election is what it is in my opinion. And so that's what this is about. We know because we see that happen here. But anyways, it just goes on to talk about the things we already know need to be done. Economy, securities, fees, oils, the whole 9 yards. So all this is pretty much the same. And then, of course, what they need to do to battle ISIS. There's little pockets of them still around. Members of the board of directors of the Union of Arab Banks stressed the need for central banks to support capital markets in light of the Rona to advance the reality of safety in the banking system. All right, so this is just good. This is the local banks saying to the central banks, we need more money. If we're going to grow, we need help. We need more liquidity, okay, is what they're saying. So the Union of Arab Banks organized a virtual conference on Tuesday and Wednesday during which it discussed ways to support central banks for capital markets in light of the Rona, and a conference witnessed a participation of Arab and European stock markets. So here's so funny about that because I just did a gold and silver video last night where this guy said that the central banks have all been meeting and they're finding ways to manipulate the market to keep things afloat for a little bit. So it appears they do this everywhere, okay? So Arab central banks and International Monetary Fund and Arab and European participants in the senior offices of the central bank, head of Arab Stock Exchange and Arab International Capital Markets, elite decision makers, senior banking and financial leaders, and Arab central bank governors. These people all took part in this, and they were talking about what they needed to do to come out of the coronavirus and get back on the ground running. They need more liquidity. That's what most of this is about. And they're talking about what they need to do. There's problems with credit. Well, everybody's having credit problems right now because of the Rona. Okay, so here's another thing that I like that Al-Kadhimi is doing. If you're going to be united country, you have to find ways to end the division. And this may sound like a small thing, but it's actually effective if you think about it. Al-Kadhimi prevents militia flags and religious banners from being raised over government buildings. Yeah, because as rival gangs, rival militia, rival religion people there see where other rivals are, you know, it causes division. To me, it's more of a subconscious thing. You know what I mean? So he's telling them, you guys can't wear. Basically, this whole article is this: the only flag you're allowed to wave in our country is our country's flag. Period. Period. Iraqi flag, because they want to be a united country. So this is a great move. So it's talking about how you can't put religious banners over government buildings. You can't put militia group names over buildings. So that's what Al Qademi is lowering the boom down on that. So forget all these separations of people. So you can look right here. Popular mobilization source indicates that there are 69 armed factions, each with their own flag. And in any military parade, these flags are raised in clear defiance of the sovereignty of the Iraq state and the symbolism of its authority. So Qademi is saying enough. We are one country. We are one people. We are one nation, period. I love this move. I know it sounds crazy. It sounds minor. But to me, it's big. It sends a clear message that they are united. And that's what the world is looking for, a united country. Let's see here, the visit. Okay, so we know that both Erbil and Baghdad are still trying to knock out their differences. Okay, and there's our buddy, Miss Blashart. So again, the United Nations can help Baghdad and Erbil to turn the page on their differences. We know they're still stuck in the negotiations. We know this. So again, we can't even go forward with the 2020 budget or 2021 budget for Iraq until this agreement between Kurdistan and, or I should say, Erbil and Baghdad is knocked out. It talks about in there the revenues and the dues. So how can you budget if you don't know the revenues and the dues or what they're agreeing upon? All right. So they keep arguing over how this is going to be handled. So now, as usual, they're bringing in our heavyweight champion, Miss Flashheart, to help with this advancement. All right. So look at this observation. Iraq is on the verge of a great openness with the West and cautious against incitement. So you got to understand that what the European Union is doing over there, and those who are aboard with the European Union, they are part of a globalist movement. They're not big fans of the United States, although we'll do business with one another. Their goal is to break, the New World Order goal is to break the world up into different so-called unions. And these are not, they're trying to run the world as a big company. And each union will be ran by a specific country. And each unions will have certain representatives. Now, these are not elected officials. These are people that appoint themselves. And that's what's happening in the European Union. So anyways, of course, after Iraq met with the United States, of course, the European Union is going to send their people over there. So they send over the French president, Macron. Anyways, he went over there. So basically what he's saying is this is an opportunity for Iraq to do business both with the European Union and over there with the United States, and that this is going to be big for Iraq. Big in a huge way. Because it's going to open up so much business. So right there it says, good for there to be a Western or a special role for France in Iraq. In contrast, you may not get anything much from Iraq under the American presence. Okay, so I need to get them out of there. Soldiers are talking about. But on the other hand, France is still a great power, a major European actor, and a permanent member of the UN National Security Council. And it still has industry, culture, and thought. And Iraq can establish more than just one joint project and benefits from France's expertise. All right, so look, all countries know what's going on. All of them are trying to get in there to do business because they know it's a great opportunity for each country. It says important interests may be the subject of the meeting of these countries in Iraq, provided that these relations are not the subject of interference in Iraq's internal affairs and plays a negative role and inflammatory role in order to obtain political or economical gains that harm the interests of the country. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Iraq going, look, I don't mind doing business with you guys, but you have no influence over us politically. That's not going to happen. Come do business, but we're not your bouncing boy. All right? Not going to happen. Okay, so there's a lot of other little articles that are in here that all look good, but here's the big one. Last year, I spoke about this. Actually, when I was on another YouTuber's channel, I talked about how big this is, and then I talked about it a little bit last year, but then all of a sudden it kind of stopped for some reason, and now I'm finding out why. Here it is. This is great news because I'm going to explain to you why. Real quick though, just a quick reminder, man. You guys hit that, smash that subscription button. Subscribe to the channel because it helps out the channel and it keeps it free. All right, so it's really important, you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe. Help out the channel, and we'll keep it free. Iraq is moving to join global trade, and an Arab country, we will facilitate its mission. I told everybody that Iraq and Vietnam were kind of being pushed through by the orders of Trump, by the way. Their application into the World Trade Organization seemed to be getting expedited, but somehow hit a snag. I don't know what happened, but these people talk about it in here. This is great news. I mean, this is huge news. You do understand, in order for Iraq to be on the World Trade Organization, they must have their sovereignty, obviously, and they must have a currency that's internationally recognized. On the Forex, that means all restrictions must be removed off the currency. That's great for us holding on to the Iraqi dinar. You're probably going to have to expect, a rate change in order for them to do business on a much larger scale. So in a statement by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, of which the news agency received a copy, all right, so they met in Geneva, the head of the working group on Iraq's, look at this, accession to the World Trade Organization. So the ambassador, the representatives of the kingdoms of Morocco to the United Nations in New York, in the presence of the director of everybody and their sisters and their brothers, and they're all slapping high fives, bumping elbows, got you, who cares about that part? The two sides exchanged, according to the statement, talking about ways to activate the file of Iraq's accession into the organization and the importance of continuing work in completing the technical documents to complete the requirements for the accession and overcome the obstacles and challenges facing the accession process. In other words, get the obstacles out of the way, hurry up and put them in there. If Iraq gets into the World Trade Organization, that is going to be a huge boom for their economy. And again, if the economy is strong, the currency becomes strong, especially when the US dollar is going to be weaker. This is exciting to me. And when I saw this, I was jumping up and down, because I remember this was being done both for Vietnam as well as Iraq. And I was watching the process, and then all of a sudden it stalled. So you can go to the World Health Organization and you can go in there and look up Iraq, and it tells you where they are in this process. It just stalled. So apparently they're opening up the files, and now they're going to rapidly push them through. Good, push them through. Okay, so it says in here, it was agreed to preparing training programs for members of the national negotiating team, as well as discuss the importance of setting a new date for the high-level conference in Iraq's accession to the WTO. Good Lord, let me get it out. Which was supposed to have been held, look at this, it was supposed to have been held last November on the 26th and 27th of 2019. So I told you they were in the process of doing that, and for some reason it stopped. Well, we know what happened. Once the prime minister resigned, we had to wait for a whole nother election, go through the whole process again. So now they're ready to get back on there. So again, this is, to me, I know what's going on as far as this is concerned. So I'm excited about this. This is big. We really want to see Iraq on the international scene. This is great for the currency, but it's also great for those of us who are invested into the Iraqi stock exchange. Yeah, that's right. Open up the doors for international business. Let's make those stocks jump up from where they are. All right, you guys, I told you there was a ton of good news, and there really is. That's exciting news. You should be excited about that. So Al-Qademi cracking down again on doing what he can to unarm the gangs, unite the people under one flag. Erbil Baghdad still ironing out the differences, but we know they can't move forward with the 2021 budget until their agreement is ironed out. We see that Iraq is now working again with the World Trade Organization to help their accession into the group, and it looks like it's going to be expedited. This is all great news. Plus we find out that Iraq is racking in some major dough in different ways other than oil. So all good news, okay, guys? I don't want you guys to get immune to this. This is all great news. All of this is great news. Very happy about this. All right, you guys, if you liked the video, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. And I'll catch you later.